Tonight's tattoo traces its origins almost 300 years ago to the British Army of King William III. While serving in the Netherlands, King William's troops were housed in the towns and villages around the battlefields, and according to legend, they went to local inns to spend their evenings. Drummers marching through the streets signaled to the soldiers that it was time to leave the pubs and reminded Dutch innkeepers to stop serving beer. This tradition evolved into a review ceremony where knights displayed their skills before the king, competing against their comrades in an effort to gain approval and earn positions in the kingdom. Today, tattoo ceremonies are held around the world, showcasing the excellence and readiness of military troops, exhibiting on the parade ground the precision and teamwork essential for mission success. A solo bugler will now sound assembly to signal to the troops to move into position and prepare for the United States Air Force's tattoo. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. the men and women of the Air Force District of Washington proudly present the United States Air Force Tattoo, American Airmen Breaking Barriers Since 1947. The host and reviewing officials for tonight's tattoo are the Honorable Heather Wilson, Secretary of the Air Force, and General David Goldfein, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Secretary Wilson.
Good evening. Before we start, I'd like to say thank you to all of our airmen and sister service members who've been supporting those affected by Hurricanes Harvey and Irma and the wildfires burning in the West. It's hard to celebrate while our fellow Americans are struggling with loss, but Americans know how to come together, and we'll do it again. Our thoughts and prayers are with them all. I want to recognize all of our airmen, our joint partners, your families, and guests from around the world. General Goldfein and Dawn, thank you for being here this evening. Our Undersecretary of the Air Force, the Honorable Matt Donovan and Katharina are here. The Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Khalith Wright and Tanya. 3 of my predecessors are with us, which is wonderful. The Honorable Whit Peters and Mrs. Kathleen Peters. The Honorable Deborah James and Mr. Frank Beatty. The Honorable Lisa Disbrow and Mr. Harry Disbrow. Retired Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General Mark Welsh III and Mrs. Betty Welsh is with us here. The Director, Strategic Capabilities Office, of the Secretary of Defense, Dr. William Roper is with us. The former Undersecretary of Defense for the Comptroller, the Honorable Dov Zakheim, is with us this evening. And 2 of the original Tuskegee Airmen are here tonight, retired Colonel Charles McGee and Private Major Anderson. We are very honored to have a couple of red tails with us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a tremendous privilege for my husband Jay and me to be here with you. Integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. Those are our values, deeply ingrained in our culture, and they come from our common heritage as airmen. Tonight, we celebrate that heritage, who we are and who we choose to become. Tonight, you will see a B-25 Mitchell bomber. This year is the 75th anniversary of the Doolittle Raiders. In April 1942, Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Doolittle led 16 B-25 bombers off the carrier deck of the USS Hornet. The surprise attack on Tokyo changed the course of the war in the Pacific. For his heroism and leadership, Lieutenant Colonel Doolittle was awarded the Medal of Honor and a promotion to Brigadier General. 2 months after the attack, each Raider who could be here was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross right here at Bowling Field. One of those Raiders of the 80 remains today. Lieutenant Colonel Dick Cole. He was Jimmy Doolittle's co-pilot in the first plane to launch from the USS Hornet. Lieutenant Colonel Doolittle turned 102 years old last Thursday. He can't be with us tonight, but we can all be with him to wish continued health for this amazing American. From the legacy of the Doolittle Raiders to the most technologically advanced aircraft ever built, the F-35 Lightning, we will celebrate our service and those who built it. Tonight, airmen are fueling fighters to go and destroy ISIS, standing watch in ICBM silos, predicting the weather over the Pacific and chasing hurricanes in the Atlantic, controlling satellites from Colorado Springs, Colorado. They are patrolling the Baltic and standing watch in the Cyber Warfare Center at Fort Meade. They are standing guard on a moment's notice to protect the skies over Washington, D.C. And they provide the blue dot on your phone that will guide you home tonight. We are airmen, innovators, and problem solvers, willing to take risks in the defense of our nation. We see problems differently, sometimes from upside down. And we are audacious when it comes to changing the game. We are proud of who we are, capable, competent, courageous, and unconventional. On behalf of the 670,000 active duty Guard, Reserve, and civilian airmen, welcome to our 70th birthday Air Force Tattoo.
In the summer of 1926, as a young boy of 13, I visited this very ground when it was known as Bowling Field. It wasn't the magnificent base you see today. It was just a dirt field. However, the famous Barnstormers show planes flew from here. And for the large sum of $5, I took a ride in one of those stunt planes. I recall my exhilaration at being in the air and looking down on the city of Washington and up at the white clouds above us. Flying was a complete joy, and right then I knew I'd become an aviator. After graduating from West Point, I was ready for my career. But the Army Air Corps wasn't quite ready for me. Despite the barriers set in front of men of color, I was assigned to lead the 99th Pursuit Squadron and the 332nd Fighter Group, better known as the Tuskegee Airmen. It was our brave and successful missions in Northern Africa and Italy during the Second World War that showed the true value of black military members. Our success did not come easy. At West Point, black cadets existed in almost complete silence, as the Army did not believe that a black officer could command white troops. It was the superior skill and the steadfast determination of the military men of color, like the Tuskegee Airmen, that showed the powers that be all the way up to President Truman that we all would be equal in the United States military. I am proud to be but one small part of this magnificent organization's history. I'm grateful to the Air Force for the opportunities given to women and men like me that did not exist for us anywhere else in the United States. We are living proof that the United States Air Force has truly been breaking barriers since 1947.
Ladies and gentlemen, a solo bugler will now signal the start of the United States Air Force Tattoo. In battles of old, the color guard led the charge. These guardsmen braved the enemy fire to inspire their fellow warriors to victory. Escorting the colors of the United States of America is the United States Air Force Honor Guard. This 200-member unit is made up of ceremonial guardsmen from various career fields that have served in military conflicts and humanitarian efforts throughout the world. Marching before you with pride is the Air Force's best, the United States Air Force Honor Guard. The United States Air Force Honor Guard will now perform a manual of arms. The flight sergeants will inspect the airmen's mission readiness through a series of weapons manuals. After the airmen have proven their readiness, the flight sergeants will prepare the airmen for the flight officers, who will take charge of the flights. One distinct feature of the military ceremony is the formal presentation of command to the reviewing official. The United States Air Force Band and Honor Guard are here tonight to represent the men and women serving in the United States Air Force. The commander of troops will present the command, at which time ruffles and flourishes and Stars and Stripes Forever will be played. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the advancement of the colors.
Advance the colors!
Ladies and gentlemen, in honor of all the men and women around the globe who have died in the service of their country, please remain standing for a moment of silence, followed by the playing of the United States National Anthem and the departure of the colors. Thank you. Please be seated.
Right shoulder.
just got a letter, a letter, a letter, the sweetest little letter from my honey today. I opened up the letter, the letter, the letter. It made me feel much better. Here's what it had to say. It said, I had a dream last night. I dreamed I held you awfully tight. You don't know how I'm missing you. I wish that I were kissing you. I just got a letter, a letter, a letter, the sweetest little letter from my honey today.
Integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do. These are the core values upon which the Air Force was built and has allowed it to continuously break barriers since 1947. They have guided what was once the Army Air Corps to what is now the most dominant air power on Earth, the United States Air Force. The Air Force has evolved over time, but for 70 years, it has kept sight of its humble beginnings and refused to waver from this path. Performing for you today, the Ambassadors in Blue, your United States Air Force Honor Guard drill team. Throughout this performance, the drill team will execute maneuvers that are extremely dangerous and require complete focus. However, I encourage you to applaud and cheer at any time. You will not break their concentration. And now, under the command of Captain Riley Platt, your United States Air Force Honor Guard, Drill Team! The Air Force mission is to fly, fight, and win in air and space. Our rapid mobility and precision engagement define us as a distinctive force. The drill team embodies these traits by remaining superbly conditioned to perfect all movements throughout every drill and ceremony. Notice the intensity and concentration as they rotate their weapons in perfect unison within close proximity to their wingmen. Now watch as their weapons are tossed overhead to supporting airmen behind them. The Air Force continues to evolve into a stronger and more efficient fighting force, thanks to the men and women who embrace change and a culture of constant innovation. The drill team is no exception to this. Although we create a new routine each year, one tradition remains the same: the drill team's line formation. Watch the domino effect created by the quick reflexes of each team member, and then make some noise and show some love. The harder you cheer, the harder they will perform. The drill team recruits, retains, and inspires as the traveling component of the Air Force Honor Guard. This 280-member unit is comprised of competitively selected airmen from every Air Force specialty, and along with the Air Force Band, they are the only Air Force squadrons with a full-time ceremonial mission. If we should fail to continue sharpening America's edge, we endanger our security, our people, and our way of life. This is no more evident than in this last sequence, which showcases teamwork, precision, and unwavering mutual trust. Please direct your attention to Captain Platt as he attempts to march up and back through the narrow gauntlet of spinning weapons. Ladies and gentlemen, representing every member, past and present, of the United States Air Force, your United States Air Force Honor Guard, Drill Team! Thank you for all the support of your drill team. Enjoy the rest of the Air Force's 70th anniversary tattoo.
Musicians have played a role in the military for centuries. Historically, drum cadences were used to march the troops to battle, and the drum beats were used as a means of relaying tactical commands on the battlefield. As the military has modernized, so has the music, and remains a key component in military ceremonies and functions. Until the 20th century, drum calls were also used to communicate commands and activities within a camp, relaying instructions to the rest of the unit. Commands were also relayed between units on and off the battlefield by the drums, from communicating instructions from one camp to another to signaling and communicating key troop movements on the battlefield. To pass the time between battles, musicians often gathered in formation known as muster. During muster, musicians from different units performed for one another, exchanging ideas and demonstrating the technical proficiency of their unit. This venue provided the creative outlet for the musicians, while at the same time providing entertainment for the troops, bolstering morale. Tonight, as we showcase the precision of your United States Air Force, the United States Air Force Band Ceremonial Brass Percussion Section will muster, presenting a drum solo composed by Senior Master Sergeant Daniel Valladay titled Muster. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief of Staff, General David L. Goldfein.
Well, thank you. It's an incredible honor to be here tonight, especially alongside an amazing leadership team. An event like this could not be possible without months of work by so many. So a special thanks to our Air Force Honor Guard and Band, Soft Power, who add such a touch of class and represent the very best in all of us. And to General Jacobson's team from AFDW, our very own protocol shop, and those who worked so hard, thank you for making this night so very special. Our heritage is built upon the character and courage of amazing people, American and allied, and some of them are here with us tonight, beginning with the 20th Chief of Staff, my friend and mentor, General Mark Welsh. We're also honored to have with us tonight 28 nations represented through the International Air Reserve Chiefs, proving America has no better friend than our partners. And finally, every warfighter calls someplace home, and our homes are made stronger through the love and care of remarkable families. And with us tonight are two Gold Star families, the Chavez and Wagner families, who suffered the bitter loss of a loved one on the battlefield. Your loss can never be replaced, but the Air Force holds you dear to our heart, now and forever. And you are and always will be a part of our Air Force family. Next, with us tonight for her first Air Force tattoo, and perhaps the most anticipated one in many years, is our 24th Secretary of the Air Force, the Honorable Dr. Heather Wilson. Standing on the shoulders of giants like Secretaries Whit Peters, Debbie James, and Lisa Disbrow, who are all in attendance tonight, Dr. Wilson is a leadership and intellectual force to be reckoned with. She's an Air Force Academy graduate, private pilot, Rhodes Scholar, former congressman from the great state of New Mexico, and comes to us after having led one of the nation's premier STEM universities. The Air Force scored an incredible win, bringing her back into formation. And it's a pleasure to have her here with us tonight. Madam Secretary, thank you and Jay for answering the call to duty. Also by our side is a tremendous leader joining us for his first tattoo as the 18th Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Chief Master Sergeant Khalith Wright. Chief Wright epitomizes airmanship, and it's an honor and a pleasure to have him on my wing as we commemorate the Air Force's last 70 years and posture it for the next 70. Together with the best Vice Chief in our history, General Sevy Wilson, who is still cleaning up after the last guy, and his incredible wife, Nancy, and our new Undersecretary, Matt Donovan, and his bride, Kat. Don and I are fortunate to be part of this team and honor the intrepid airmen who came before us and the airmen we are privileged to lead today. For the past 70 years, the United States Air Force has delivered decisive air and space power for America, and there is no sign of slowing down. Our legacy actually began 114 years ago on the windy hills of Kitty Hawk when two bicycle mechanics dared to defy gravity. I love the story of Orville and Wilbur flipping a coin to see who would be the first to fly. That sounds like us. We're all bicycle mechanics at heart, and as my crew chief used to remind me, we were mechanics long before we became pilots. Our military history traces back to the skies of World War I, when young Army officers looking up from the trenches, seeing and hearing airplanes, often called flying coffins, wondered whether it was possible to go over and not through an enemy. Over, not through. We stand on the shoulders of giants: Rickenbacker, Mitchell, Doolittle, Arnold, Cole, Welsh. An amazing roster of pioneers and trailblazers who paved the way for our long blue line. Secretary Wilson and I carry the torch ignited by our first Secretary-in-Chief, Symington and Spatz. The daring boundary pushers like the Tuskegee Airmen and the women air service pilots who cemented the value and richness diversity brings to our force. And tonight, while we celebrate a heritage of firsts, we're also reminded of what's at the heart of breaking barriers: courage, determination, empowerment, and having the audacity to turn challenge into opportunity when so many others see a reason to stop. We break barriers for the Joint Team, our nation and our allies, tearing down walls so others may follow, just as prior generations did for so many years. Today's challenging national security environment places air and space power in great demand. And there is no indication there will be any let-up in the near future. As we have in the past, airmen will continue flying, fighting, and winning, shoulder to shoulder with America's soldiers, sailors, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and our allies and partners. And just like those young Army officers in the trenches of World War I looked up and pondered the use of this new thing called an airplane, today's soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who hear the sound of jet noise can rest assured it's us, airmen, and we have their back. As the night comes to a close, may God bless our nation and all airmen, past, present, and future, who have sworn to defend her. Thank you.
Tonight, we are proud to represent the excellence and innovation of our airmen serving around the world. One of the many things that binds all joint service members together is our patriotism and our love for America, so passionately represented by the American flag. Our veteran sacrifice reminds us of our veterans every single day. In our nation's flag, it stands for life, it stands for liberty, and it stands for America. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you an Air Force Band original, this flag. Does it make you feel the way I feel when it dances in the sky? When you place your hand against your heart, do you know the reason why? Is it just some colored thread weaved from a bow? Or does it make you think about the ones who sacrificed it all? This flag, a picture painted in the wind, blowing through each generation, never giving in. This flag, it stands for more than just one thing. It stands for life and liberty and you and me. It stands for everything. This flag, it is strong in the face of danger, but some choose to burn it down. Well, if the ashes fly, no, I won't cry, 'cause it all comes back around to what it really means to be free and what is in your heart. So they can tear it all down to the ground, but that'll never tear us apart. This flag, a picture painted in the wind, blowing through each generation, never giving in. This flag, it stands for more than just one thing. It stands for life and liberty and you and me. It stands for everything. This flag, red, white, and blue, colors fade over time. What do they mean to you? Will you let it die? Please don't let it die. This flag, a picture painted in the wind, blowing through each generation, never giving in. This flag, it stands for more than just one thing. It stands for life and liberty and you and me. It stands for everything, yeah. It stands for life and liberty and you and me. It stands for everything. This flag.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear for the flag of the United States of America. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. From sea to shining sea.
America, God shed his grace on thee
Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Air Force Band and Honor Guard will now pass in review. This time honored tradition dates back to the Revolutionary War, in which a commanding officer inspects the men and women serving beneath them for their appearance, technique, precision, and battle readiness. In addition to ceremonially rendering honors to the members of our distinguished stage party, a pass in review is an opportunity to pay respects to all our honored guests and the military community of the Air Force District of Washington for their constant support of all airmen in the National Capital Region. This evening, Secretary Wilson and General Goldfein will review our troops. As a reminder, as the colors pass directly before you, all should rise and military personnel in uniform should render the appropriate honors. Tonight's Commander of Troops is the Commander of the United States Air Force Honor Guard, Lieutenant Colonel Jason Harris. Carrying the Honor Guard standard is the Squadron Superintendent, Chief Master Sergeant Thomas Leonard. The Honor Guard's Flight Commander, Captain Brian Sachowski. Leading the Colors Team, Airman First Class Christopher Dillon. The Honor Guard's Flight Commander, First Lieutenant Vincent Ramsey. Leading the United States Air Force Band ceremonial brass, Commander and Conductor, Colonel Larry H. Lang, along with Drum Major of the United States Air Force Band, Senior Master Sergeant Daniel Valladay. The Drill Team Commander, Captain Riley Platt. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
The honorable traditions of the Airmen warrior rest with all of us, all races, religions, and genders. I stand before you not as the primary example of how the United States Air Force broke barriers, but as one person in a proud heritage lasting 7 decades. We all stand on the shoulders of the brave men and women of the United States Air Force who bravely took on the primary responsibility to serve their country, not for the sole intent of breaking barriers, but to serve and fly, as I did, off into the wild blue yonder.
In keeping with Air Force tradition, we ask that you all rise as we conclude this evening's tattoo with the singing and playing of the Air Force song. The men and women of the United States Air Force, thank you for attending this evening's tattoo celebrating 70 years of American Airmen, and we extend our sincerest gratitude to all of our visiting guests. This concludes the United States Air Force tattoo. Please remain standing for the departure of the official party. In order to safely and most effectively usher out our guests tonight, we will announce the seating sections to be dismissed. Please wait for your section to be dismissed before departing your seating section. Our first section will be our distinguished guests on the dais in the white section. Please make your way up the stairs to your awaiting vehicles. All other guests, please be seated.